Welcome back everybody to Studio Life. Bit of a special episode this, or this and the next one. The next two episodes which I'm shooting today are kind of special because it's the last time I'm going to be filming with the studio looking like this. Basically, I've already started today, and tomorrow this whole thing will be dismantled, everything taken out, whole load of new furniture going in, some new gear, whole complete refit, which I'm looking forward to showing you all soon. Already got the new chair, as you might have seen. It's an incredibly comfortable chair. It's it's a little bit too comfortable with anything. It's very tempting just to sit back and not do much. But anyway, I can't do that because I've got plugins to review. So let's see, what are we looking at today? Today we are looking at something from UAD, and it's the A-type multiband enhancer. Let's find out. Is it? So yeah, UAD A-type multiband enhancer. What is it? Well, way back in the 80s and a bit of the 90s, but mainly in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, if you were running a studio and you had a multi-track tape recorder, most of the time these were running 24 tracks, analog, 2-inch tape, there was quite a lot of noise going on. There was inherent noise in tape itself, a lot of the gear made noise, patch bays, just generally it was a problem. We were constantly trying to find ways to reduce the noise, and Dolby came up with something called Type A. Now we had Type B, which was for home cassette based systems. You probably remember that maybe if you're old. And later we had Type C, which was a bit better, but Type A was professional. You might remember SR as well. That was another professional one. But Type A was the kind of Dolby we used in studios for multi-track tape machines. And it was a pretty complicated situation. You would have to buy it in racks, and you would need a Dolby encoder and Dolby decoder for each track. So you'd need 24 of each, which was, you know, not cheap. Took up a lot of room. They'd normally be in one massive rack, sort of like floor to ceiling almost. Insane way of doing things, but it was the only way we could do things back then. And what it basically did was, I think it worked like a compander. So it kind of reduced, it split it up into a multiband signal. So you basically got some pretty high quality noise reduction. There didn't appear to be many downsides. It worked pretty well. However, engineers discovered there was a bit of a side effect that if you didn't decode the signal, if you just encoded it, it added basically the effect of like an exciter to the top end. It made vocals sound incredibly silky and lush, and it was a bit of a trick that quite a lot of big engineers used on a lot of big artists back then. And yeah, it became something that, you know, spread like wildfire throughout the industry. Everyone started copying them, because if you've got to remember, back then there was no such thing as a plug-in. There was no computers in studios. Audio effects were limited to mostly time-based things. I mean, we have flanges, phasers, tremolos, reverbs and delays. That's kind of it. There were a couple of exciters, oral exciters, but there wasn't really anything else. So when someone invents something from a bit of gear you might already have, everyone wants to try it, and try it they did. Anyway, blimey, that went on a bit, didn't it? UAD have basically created a software version of that. They're not the first. We looked at Overloud Gems, did something a few years ago now, and I think there's a few others out there. And it basically replicates the encoder and the decoder in a plugin. Now, what I didn't realise at first when I started playing with it, I just thought they were going to basically give us the right tools to be able to use it as the vocal effects that we used to use back in the day, which they have done, plus a few other little things it can do. But it is actually possible to decode analog tapes with this. If you've got recordings that were recorded back in the day and they have Dolby A, you can use a whole bunch of these plugins in your DAW to decode them. How cool is that? Because there's probably quite a lot of multi-tracks still out there that people are, I mean, I know of a lot of major artists who are buying their multi-tracks or getting their multi-tracks back from the labels they were signed to back in the day, and they are putting all these audio files into the computer so that they can do things with them, re-releases, remixes, remasters and stuff. Now you don't have to go, Jesus, I've got to find myself a whole bunch of Dolby A. You just got to get this plugin. I didn't know it could do that, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, let's dig in and see what else it does. As you can see from the look of it, if you've never seen a Dolby A thing, it's a pretty similar look. That was, elongated rack size. This is like a more of a, dumpy square looking thing, but it looks pretty cool to me. I like it. So you can see on the left, we've got the amount control, how much of the effect you want to hear. Underneath that, you have a sidechain filter, so you have a regular sort of high pass, and then you have what is basically like a tilt, which is kind of cool. On the other side, you have a wet dry control, and I don't know if you can see there's these white Chinagraph markings. I've still got a Chinagraph somewhere. Yeah, there it is. I've had it so long, it's about half the size it started out. So these were little pencils that you could write on analog gear with to basically leave marks next to the knobs of where your favourite settings were. In the days before plugins, that's what we used to use. Still, I don't really use it much now, but I used to use it a few years ago. Bizarrely still got it. But yeah, you'll see there's some Chinagraph marks on here on different presets, and that's a good place to turn these knobs to get that sound. The sound that we all remember, that's how they give it to you. Rather than just a preset, it's like it's marked on there in Chinagraph. I love that. That's proper old school. You can see across the middle here, we've got the different algorithms, the different setting modes. So Excite and Air, they're basically the ones that do the cool Exciter kind of adding the top end silky vocal thing. Expand is a little bit more interesting, and I'm pretty sure that's the one. I mean, there is a preset for decoding tape. I've got a feeling that's Expand. Anyway, you can do all kinds of other stuff with it. You've also got Crush, which is basically using this as a bit of a, well, like a saturator, and then you've got gated mode where it does some clever gating effects. In all cases, it's a case of manipulating the two big knobs, the amount of effect followed by the wet and dry to get the perfect setting. Sometimes you want it mostly dry, sometimes you don't. Have a look at the Chinagraph markings. They move each time, so that's a good starting place quite often. If you click this button here, well, first of all, we've got the meter, which looks like the meter that I used to have on them, and you can flip that between input and gain reduction. You then click this down arrow, this other little bit pops up, which gives you extra controls, which are really useful. So you've got a 4:1 button. You can add a 4:1 compression over the whole thing. That's, again, it's a nice little addition. I like that. You can link the side chain externally. That's nice. You've got a knee control between hard and soft, again, useful. And you've got release control, which again gives you wildly different results depending on which preset you're working on. This middle section, you can see it allows you to move where the multiband bands divide, where the crossover points are, which is great. So it gives you a real huge amount of flexibility when you're using some of these, like the Expand one. You can move it into different places and mess with the EQ. You can drag on these little grey bits here, they're like little handles, and change the EQ response of it, which is nice. You have an output control there. You can give yourselves more headroom or less over here with this little screw control. And auto cal is a really useful thing. I'd quite like to see that on more plugins. Took me a while to realise what it does, but basically it means that whenever you press one of these sort of mode selectors, it puts everything back to where the default settings were, which is always a good place to start, because when you've messed with it, when you're trying it out, sometimes it's like, oh god, it's not doing anything useful now. Press that, all of the different modes reset to default. That's pretty good. What else can I say about it? That's about it. I mean, it's scalable hugely. You can choose to have it absolutely enormous on your screen. I love that. Obviously, we've got a whole bunch of really useful presets. Definitely worth digging into on this. Obviously, the decode one, that's a preset. There's different variations for all the kind of effects you can get out of this. What would you use it on? Vocals has got to be a go-to. I would absolutely try it on drums, because I don't think I've ever done that before. I've never tried it on drums. I've only ever had one channel of this in real life. So to put it on a stereo drum bus and to mess with it, I was quite shocked. It did some really cool stuff. Guitars, it always really worked well on, but mainly it's a vocal effect, but you can try it on everything. Because it's a plugin now, just go nuts. It's interesting. It's another tool for the palette when you're trying to come up with, how do I make this interesting? It's one of those kind of things. Demo wise, it's 14 days because it's UAD. UAD have their own sort of app, don't they, which you install and you can download things and demo them and then buy them if you like them. Price wise, the full price normally is $199. That's a lot of money. I'm not sure it's worth $199. I think that's a bit much. At the sale at the moment, it's $99. Now, I still think that's a little bit pokey. However, if you are going to use this to decode some real tape, which has got Dolby A on it, that's probably the cheapest way around it. I can't think of any other way. You'd have to hire in a whole bunch of it, which just sounds insane. I'm not even sure if it's still around. I mean, I guess someone will hire it to you, but yeah, that's mad. I didn't know it could do that, and that kind of puts this in a different light because, yeah, I don't think the other versions of this I've seen do it. They just emulate the vocal sounds you can do. So the fact that this does actually decode Dolby A is pretty impressive. Yeah, $99. That's not bad considering that. Star rating. Before I knew that, I was giving it a solid 3 stars. I just thought it was a bit pricey and maybe a bit limited in what you can do with it. I would still say it's 3 stars, but edging towards 4, and definitely 4 if you want to start decoding a load of old analog tape. But we'll stick with 3, basically just because I think from the vocal effect point of view, it's one of those things you might use once or twice. It's not going to be something you go back to over and over again. But this is very well done. I like it. Anyway, if you can like the video, that really helps. If you could subscribe to the channel, that helps even more. You can check out my Instagram, which is Mixdown Mastering, see what I get up to all week. There's also the website Studio Life where we've got the top 5 plugins, and there's also information on courses on mixing and mastering and a whole bunch of other stuff. Anyway, I will see you next time, possibly for the last time in the studio as you know it. Adios. See you later.